Archidekt.com. Enter. You are greeted with the homepage of Archidekt. Here's how to use it. The homepage will look slightly different depending on if you're logged in or not. Depending on if you have an account or not, you can make a deck or experiment in the sandbox. If you use the sandbox, your deck will not be saved to the servers, but you don't need an account. You can experiment in the sandbox, but you will lose the list if you close the tab or turn off your computer. The sandbox is useful to test the site or start a deck you don't want to be saved. You can always make an account and save the deck later, but it's easier if you just make an account now. To make an account, just hit this button. If you want to follow this within the sandbox, just click sandbox. You can save it later by clicking this. If you want to follow the tutorial with a deck, click new deck. Type the name of your deck in the top box. Anything memorable should do the trick, and pick your format. In this case, I'll choose Commander, but you can pick whichever you prefer. There's also the folder option. If you're new to Archidekt, you don't really need to learn this. But if you have dozens and dozens of decks on Archidekt, you can organize them into folders. Just click on the folder you want it to go in. There's also a private switch. If you switch this on, then only you or anyone logged into your account will be able to see the deck. Leave this public unless you want the deck to be top secret. Now click Create Deck. Congratulations, you've made it to the deck creation screen. It's a bit intimidating. I mean, look at all these buttons. Why are there so many? But let's start simple. In the top left corner, there's the Add button. Click this to add cards. A side panel will come open and you can type in any card name. In this case, I'll search Sol Ring and hit Enter. You'll see Sol Ring in the results. You can also click on the suggested card names instead of hitting Enter. You should see your card show up in the results. Hit the green button to add it to your deck. Congratulations, you have added your first card to your deck. You can add one more by clicking the plus sign, remove one by hitting the minus sign, get rid of them all by hitting the red delete sign, and open the cards menu with this caret. We'll get to that more later. You can search for cards individually this way, or you can use Archidekt's Scryfall-based advanced search by opening this menu. You can also search using Scryfall syntax with this tab. Syntax is the most powerful option. If you don't know how to use it, you can watch this video. I won't be covering how to use advanced search, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Just input the parameters you want. Since I'm making a commander deck, I need to search for my commander. Let's say I want to make a Niv-Mizzet Reborn deck. I search for the name, click plus to add it to the deck, then click in the grayed out area to return to the main deck view. I can then drag Niv-Mizzet Reborn into the commander category. That is how you set your commander. All colored cards will be marked as outside of your commander's color identity for as long as you don't have a commander. Alright, we've added a few cards. I think it's a good idea to save the deck. Hit the orange save button in the left of the screen. If it's grayed out, that means that all changes have been saved. Sadly, Archidekt will not auto-save, and you can't just use Control-S to save. I put in a feature request, so hopefully this gets implemented soon. On the top left corner of your deck, you can see details. This includes the name, the format, the legality. If it's legal, it will say legal. If it's not legal, it will say view deck errors, and you can click it to see every reason why your deck is not legal. You can see the number of cards in the deck under deck size. The sideboard and maybe board are not counted, but the commander is. And you can see the price. Hover over the price to see the price without basic lands. You can see the account that made the deck, the likes and dislikes on the deck, and how many quote-unquote views the deck has. The views aren't really useful information since looking at your own deck counts. I have a private deck with over 50 views. You can share the deck. A few things to keep in mind about sharing. If your deck is private, other people won't be able to see it. And you can just copy from the address bar to get the exact same URL. Right below is a search box. This will search for cards in your deck by name. So if I'm in the middle of building my Niv-Mizzet deck and I can't remember, did I add Sol Ring yet? Well, I can search Sol Ring in this search box and see if it's there. Well, look at that, it is. Just delete your search to see the full deck again. I'm gonna add some signets because I think they'll be a good addition to the deck. So I'll search signet, which will show all cards with signet in their name, and add them all. So I've added all my cards, and uh-oh, my mouse slipped. I accidentally cut Cruel Signet. In order to undo mistake, you can hit the undo button. There's also a redo button right under it. Or I can click view/sort, then delete it, and see all the cards that I've deleted deleted from my deck. If you reload or close the tab, the deleted history will be lost. On the left is the edit button. You can click it to see a text version of your deck and edit your deck that way. If you have a list of cards that you want to add into your deck, you can just copy them and paste them into the Deck Edit tab. This leads us into the use of EDHREC. There's a recommendations tab on Archidekt, and you can see cards commonly played with your commander. I'm now editing this video, and I've realized sort of a mistake I made. I recommended that you don't use Archidekt's recommendations page, but now that I'm re-examining it, it looks great. You can just click on the Recs tab, click on EDHREC, and pick a card type if you want to. There's also the Played Together tab. It will sort the results by the number of cards in your current deck that share decks with the recommended card. You can also have it return cards played with a specific card. This is extremely powerful, and I can't believe that I haven't been using it in the past. The forums are the place to report bugs and request features. I made 3 forum posts while writing this video, and the responses are on point. I cannot recall a single time where my post has not been responded to. Shout out to Jeremy, Archidekt's community manager, who responds to all my posts. To use the forums, click Forum, which is in the top right of the page. Pick a topic and click New Thread. Categories are an extremely powerful utility of Archidekt. It's a bit complicated to use, but you'll get a lot of use out of them, so stick with me. If you click Views/Sort, then click the second highest button, you will see a list of different category sorting methods. Make sure you have custom or multiple selected for the category display. Multiple will display cards in the starred category normally, and cards in unstarred categories at a lower opacity. Custom will only show the cards in the starred category. Custom categories are already pre-sorted into cards types, but you can change those categories. To make a custom category, open the cards menu, then click Add Category. Scroll down until you see Create a New Category, then click Add Category. Name your category and change your parameters how you want them. Click Create and the category is added to the card. You can then star the category and delete the old category. When you go back to the Deck Edit page, you can drag cards across categories. You will not be able to drag cards unless you are in custom or multiple. You can have cards with multiple categories by opening the menu and adding more categories. Every deck should have a ramp, draw, and removal category. If you need to find cuts, you can look at your categories and see which one has an abundance. If you have 25 pieces of draw, then that's a prime example of where you should make cut. How much ramp, draw, and removal you run depends on what power level you want your deck to be. You can also change the order the cards are sorted with the second lowest button in the Views and Sort menu. In the top left of each card is a color tag, and you can categorize by these too. This is basically another separate layer of categories, so you can come up with any utility. Alright, let's talk about deck search. I'm making good progress on my Niv Mizzet list, but I want to see what others have done so I can find more good cards for my deck. Let's open another tab of Archidekt by either control clicking or using the middle mouse button on the logo in the top left corner. Switch to the new tab and click the Decks icon in the top corner. Click All Decks and you can search decks from here. You can search for decks by name by just typing out your search, and you can search for decks with specific cards in them, formats, commanders, and colors. You can also filter by deck size. I usually do this if I'm looking for completed decks, since completed decks tend to be more polished. I search for commander deck with 100 cards and Niv Mizzet as the commander, and I find some lists. Just control click or middle mouse button click to open these lists in new tabs. If you find a card you want to add to your deck, click the Select a Deck menu under Add Another Deck and find or search for your deck. Then click Add Card to add it to your deck. The Add Card icon will be grayed out if that card is already in your deck. Make sure to reload your list so you can see the cards that were added. On the top right, you can click the Stats button to see stats about your deck. This includes the mana distribution of your lands and spells, a type chart, and your mana curve. You can click the green playtest button to play your deck. You can click cards and drag them to move them, press U to untap all your permanents, D to draw a card, or click cards and then press keys to send them to specific locations. B for board, G for graveyard, E for exile, and Z for command zone, H for hand, and Y for top of library. You can see the full list of hotkeys by hovering over this question mark. And you can right-click on cards, the battlefield, or your library to do different things. You can see the price of your deck in the top left corner. If you hover over it, you'll see the price not including basic lands. You can change the price sources by clicking this button. You may notice that there are two options. Archidekt will use the first one for the price of cards, categories, and the deck. Both the first and second one will be displayed under each card, so you can easily see the prices of cards. When you open the menu of a card, there are a few more options that I haven't talked about yet. You can change the edition of the card with this box, either by scrolling or searching by set name. Searching by set code will not work. You can make a card foil or non-foil with this switch. If this version of the card doesn't have the option to be foil, then the foil switch will be grayed out. You can set a custom CMC, so if you want your Blasphemous Act to show up as 1 mana on your curve, you can make it do that. You can set this card as your deck image. This is used at the top of the page and for the thumbnail of the deck. And you can open the card page for more information about the card. To have a card page appear on the right side of the screen, you can double click any card. This is most useful when checking the oracle text of cards. The next thing I want to talk about is exporting and purchasing the deck. You can export the deck in various formats to use it wherever you want. Anything from a text document, Magic Arena format, or a deck registration. I wish there was a copy and show text option, but otherwise it's great. You can purchase your deck with their shopping function. It just makes it easier to buy your deck. To use dark mode, hit the button on the top right of the screen. You can edit deck settings by clicking this gear and change name, description, and format. You can also delete the deck, although in most cases I recommend you just keep it saved on Archidekt in case you want to look at it later. If you have any questions or tips on using Archidekt, leave a comment. Watch this video next to learn Scryfall syntax. It goes in this search bar on Archidekt and will greatly improve your Archidekt and deck building skills. Subscribe because I'm trying to reach 500 subscribers by 2022. And join my Discord server, link in the description.